It took me a little over 2 years to get to 100 subscribers, but only 2 months to reach the 200 mark. Thanks all of you for helping the channel grow so fast in so little time. At this pace, we should reach the 1 million subscribers in... Well, who cares about the subs anyway? Let's take a look at this week's film. Every now and then I like to check on the state of video game movies to see if they are of any worth nowadays. Yeesh.
Quick! Change the channel!
It looks like I'll be forever stuck with these two. But you may be asking yourself, didn't you complain about nobody watching your last video about a video game movie? And you would be correct. However, this channel is mine and I'll talk about whatever I want in it, even if I'm the only one interested in the subject matter. In my Mortal Kombat review, I discuss how the film perfectly captures the essence of the source material in its early days. But back then, I was talking as a fan of the games with enough familiarity with them. I know jack shit about Street Fighter. Like, I know what is a Hadouken and I know this meme and these two guys from Fortnite, but don't ask me to name any character from any game after the second one. Any of them. So if any of you come to me complaining about how the movie ignores the game's lore or something, don't. Because I don't care. Neither does this film. Like, at all. Much like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter had lit the world on fire in the early 90s after basically creating the fighting game genre. Capcom, like any Japanese company with 2 brain cells would, decided to capitalize on their newfound success by investing in the creation of several multimedia tie-ins to the game that included a homegrown full-length anime film and a US-made live-action production. When I say Capcom invested in this film, I really mean it. They financed most of its $35 million budget, which may not seem like much, and that's because it isn't. After Jean-Claude Van Damme and Raul Julia were cast, there was barely enough money for the rest of the casting to put things into perspective. Van Damme alone ate up $8 million of the budget, which completely minds my theory that these guys were never as big as I thought. They were. They are just that washed up nowadays, but I digress. The rest of the cast had to be filled with either B-listers, unknowns, or Australian mega pop stars who were only there because the movie was filmed in Australia, who forced the production to cast at least one local. The cast was not the only thing filled with newcomers. The director, Steven E. D'Souza, had never directed a full-length movie before, despite being credited as the writer of some pretty big titles like Die Hard and Commando, as well as The Flintstones and Beverly Hills Cop 3, so even when it came to this field of work, his track record was inconsistent to say the least. To top all that, Capcom could know how to make video games and pay other people's bills, but they knew nothing of making movies. Proof of that is the fact they insisted for the movie to be out by Christmas of 1994, forcing the production company to work on an extremely tight schedule that didn't allow for much planning and preparation. The whole situation was, admittedly, a recipe for disaster, and depending on who you ask, a disaster is what it turned out to be. But if things were so clearly a disaster in the making, tell me how come 4 times Golden Globe nominee Raul Julia accepted to take what? Yeah, turns out Julia only accepted being in the movie because his children were fans of the game. Also, he was dying of cancer, he was being eaten alive by it. So he decided to invest what little time he had left to make his kids happy and, in the process, bring us the absolute greatest movie performance the world has ever seen.
Why do they still call me a warlord? All I want to do is to create the perfect genetic soldier. Not for power, not for evil, but for good. Carlos Blanca will be the first of many. They shall march out of my laboratory and sweep away every adversary, every creed, every nation, until the very planet is in the loving grip of the Pax Bisonica, and all humanity shall bow to me in humble gratitude.
Let me reiterate this. This man was dying of cancer. That totally didn't stop him from delivering every single line of his part with enough ham to feed a small nation for a year.
For I beheld Satan as he fell from heaven like lightning!
Seriously, how not to smile with the stuff this guy says?
You don't remember?
For you, the day bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
Here is an unashamedly insane villain from a guy who read a stupid ass script and decided to just have some fun with the damn thing. Raul Julia may have died before seeing the movie completed, but he sure as hell had the time of his life while making it. Except, you know, for the dying of cancer part.
Of course!
Julia wasn't the only one to catch on the drill of the film. Everybody else did as well, and were trying pretty hard to make the most out of that mess of a script. Except for Van Damme, who always seemed on the verge of breaking into laughter.
I know you like to look at yourself on television, you sick son of a bitch. So look at this.
And I still can't tell if DJ's eye rolls are part of the character or just Miguel Núñez's actual reactions while on set. Thanks largely to the cast of actors hamming their way through the script, the end product gifts us with a colorful bunch of weirdos who even at their worst can't help being adorable. This is very visible at the climax of the movie, one of those instances of convincingly good guys fighting likable bad guys in a brawl that, for all we care, could end in a tie with no clear winner or loser because we don't want anything bad to happen to any of them. And the film knows that, gracing us with a finale where pretty much everyone is not only alive and well but also on the same page, which is nice. Except for Bison, who is dead and still evil. There is an undeniable purity in this film, most likely stemming from this tension between the extremely camp aesthetic and the script's uttermost incapability of poking fun at itself. The movie's sense of humor invites you to laugh with it, not at it.
General Bison, he's a bad guy. If you know this, then why do you serve him?
Because he paid me a freaking fortune, you moron.
You got paid?
He helped the director was supposedly a fan of the game, so he probably didn't want to mock the source material, with reference to it being more like good-natured homage to please the fans of the audience.
Now you look like Bison troopers.
As you see, even if the plot takes several liberties with the game's excuse of a story, you can't deny the people behind the scenes had a lot of respect for the source material and wanted to deliver something that lived up to how they saw these characters and their roles. In time, the game would grow much larger than anyone could have ever imagined, with everything related to it becoming so deeply ingrained into the popular consciousness that any attempt to transport it into any other media instantly becomes a gargantuan task. So no wonder even fans of the franchise look at this movie and go, This weight might have prevented the movie from being fully embraced by fans of the series after all this time. But of course, I wouldn't be talking about it if the film didn't have a sizable following that embraced it for the ham and cheese sandwich with camp bread that it is. Cheese and ham sandwich. I'm getting hungry, so I think I will wrap. Fuck, now I'm thinking about raps too. Okay, I'll be leaving out, but just because I thought I was way too harsh on Steven de Souza early on, I tried to praise something else he wrote. Let's see. Oh. Never mind, I think I'll save the compliments for the next video. I see you there.